Hey guys, it's Will. It's Hong Kong Cinema Appreciation Society. Welcome back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, welcome and thank you for finding us. I hope this video finds you well. This is another entry in the 2024, what am I even calling this? Hong Kong horror mini marathon for Halloween? I don't really have an official title for it, but I'm just kind of thinking of it in my head as like a mini marathon of Hong Kong horror films for Halloween because I do love watching spooky movies around Halloween. Most of the films that I've been reviewing for this little mini marathon I'm doing have not been like horror in the strictest sense, like ghost movies, creepy movies, spooky movies. This is a full-blown horror movie. Well, let's get into it. Okay, so this is a set called Kung Fu Zombies from Mill Creek. I was sent this set freaking years ago, right? And I showed it off on like a pickups video. Someone sent it to me. I didn't recognize like most of the movie titles here, and I was like, oh, I could like maybe one Halloween. It'll be fun to watch these, and and I had forgotten that I got it, and I put it away in a box, and then like a week ago, I found it when I was looking through that box, and I was like, oh shit, I forgot about this. I'm like looking for movies to do for Halloween, like what's on here? And we're going to eat you, the second film from Tsui Hark, which is a like full-blown like 70s exploitation, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Hills Have Eyes, like like Chinese redneck movie, I don't even know what you would call it, is on this set. And that's a movie I've been wanting to see for a while. And I was like, oh shit, I need to watch that movie, and I need to watch it now. So I watched it last night, and it's in my Letterboxd top 4 now. What do I even say about this movie? Well, let me tell you the basic info about the film. It's a fucking killer cast in this movie. A killer cast. It was released on April 2nd of 1980. Tsui Hark directed it. Tsui Hark co-wrote it with Zato Choi Kon. Corey Yoon did the martial arts choreography, if you can believe that. Norman Choi is in it. Eddie Ko, Melvin Wong, Michelle Yim, Fung Fung, and I mean there's like Tai Bo and on and on and on. But what is this movie? So there's an island, and on the island there's a temple, and then there's like a little town, and there's a group of like Eddie Ko leads this group of people who are like the military, if you want to call it that, for the island. They're like the security force, and all the people on the island are cannibals. And so when any outsider comes to the island, these guys in these creepy ass masks go out with machetes and like cut them up or trap them, drag them back to like a slaughterhouse in the temple, which is like this open courtyard area, and literally cut them to pieces. There are some gruesome scenes in this movie of people being cut up and like prepared to be eaten. Like this is very much a film. One of the things that I thought was so interesting about this movie is, like a lot of what people tell me about the Hong Kong New Wave is that it is one of the things that defines it is that it is Hong Kong filmmakers who were typically educated outside of Hong Kong with regards to film school specifically, and then were influenced by non-Hong Kong films and brought that influence to Hong Kong cinema. You can really see the influence of 1970s American like exploitation horror films on this movie. I'm sorry, the dogs are like going apeshit for some reason right now. But like Texas Chainsaw Massacre for sure, The Hills Have Eyes, like there's this town of people who are like, they're almost like these inbred mutant redneck type of people. And then you have these guys in these masks with these, and this film came out in 1980, right? So this is like clearly not influenced by 80s horror films because it was made like very early in 1980, if not in 1979, right? And so it's much more, I think, taking from like 70s exploitation and grindhouse films, and then the who is essentially the protagonist, the Norman Choi character. He's an outsider who comes to this island, and he wears a hat with like a brim on it. It's not a cowboy hat, but there's like a cowboy kind of vibe to like the way he wears it, the way he walks, the way he squints, and he's smoking these hand-rolled cigarettes. It's very like Clint Eastwood, Man with No Name. And it's about like a small town in the middle of nowhere where this guy shows up, and he's like very skilled and causes a lot of problems, and the townsfolk like all, it's like very kind of like a Western, but it's a Kung Fu movie too. Like there are batshit fights in this movie, like classic awesome Corey Yoon. There's one fight scene where a guy, the Norman Choi character, has like accidentally walked into a trap, and he's like strung up between ropes in a tree, and one of the guys with the masks and the knife is trying to cut him up and kill him, and he's like swinging around in the rope trying to fight the guy off while the guy's trying to cut him up. And it's like really innovative and weird and crazy. So the Norman Choi character plays a government agent who comes to this island to arrest a bandit. So he doesn't know the cannibal shit is taking place. And then he kind of starts to stumble on it, and then they try to cover it up, and there's all these hijinks, and this movie's like kind of a comedy too, and there are scenes in it that are like really funny, but it's also like dementedly gruesome and violent and weird. There's a character in the town who's a woman, but who's played by a man who's like 7 feet tall, and she has a thing for like pretty men who are much smaller than her, so there's like a couple characters she tries to rape. It's so bad. It's so like bad 80s Hong Kong. Like you could never do this now, but it's also kind of funny in a really terrible way because it's so stupid. But there's like nasty scenes of like cannibalism, and it's a really funny. I mean, to me, the bottom line of this movie is it's a well-made movie, right? It's well conceived, it's well written. Like, oh, there's a lot of really interesting characters in this film. There's one of my favorite like subplots is about this woman in the town who was born there, grew up there, and she has a little brother, and her little brother gets like bullied by people and stuff like that. And she's trying to protect her little brother, but she's sleeping with the Eddie Ko character. She's like kind of his girlfriend, kind of his like mistress concubine type of thing, whatever. And she's obsessed with hearts. And then that becomes like it's this like darkly macabre, almost like Tim Burton-esque like gothic romantic thing where like obviously the heart is highly metaphorical for love and romance and stuff like that, but they're cannibals, so she likes eating hearts, right? And so it's this like kind of gross but weirdly like sweet romantic like thing where she's like trying to protect her brother, and she's a really interesting character, and she brings a lot of really interesting stuff I think to the movie, and I really loved the scenes with her in it. But there's like all the different characters in this film. There's like a guy who's like the lieutenant basically to Eddie Ko. He's like his like second in command, and he doesn't want to be on the island anymore, and he doesn't want to be a cannibal, and there's only one boat, and it's very risky to escape, and he's trying to figure out whether it's possible to escape or whether he should try to like overthrow the Eddie Ko guy and kill him and like stop the cannibalism. Like he doesn't know what to do. And then he sees the Norman Choi character come in, and he's like, maybe this guy and I could have like a relationship, or he could help me. And there's this one scene where he goes to talk to the Norman Choi while Norman Choi's like taking a bath kind of, and Norman Choi his character turns out to be like really kind of prude. And it's like he keeps like hiding his body from like the Melvin Wong plays the kind of second in command guy, and who he's really young with his like mustache and his long hair. Like he looks so different from in Righting Wrongs and other movies like that. But it's like a good scene of drama and tension with these two characters who want things out of each other, but they all have all these secrets they can't reveal. But it's also like turns into this goofy little comedy routine. But I'm like, some of the fight scenes in this movie are bananas. Some of the violence is really gruesome, like exploitation nastiness. And like I said, like one of the things that really struck me about this film is that all the characters have like some kind of business. Like they have wants, they have needs, they have desires, they have things that they're pursuing. Those things often conflict with things that other people are pursuing. They need to lie to people, they need to deceive people, convince people. Like it's good drama, right? And so the details here are really well done and really well conceived of. So you have a well executed, well made movie that is batshit insane. You will never see an other movie like this. It is a 70s exploitation, grindhouse, cannibal horror, kung fu mystery, western comedy. And it's well done. So it's not just a movie that's insane for the sake of being insane. And you could really see, like in 1980, Tsui Hark being like, I've seen all these crazy exploitation, Texas Chainsaw Massacre type of movies. Like, what if we took that type of movie and we transposed it so that it's like a period piece martial arts film, right? And it's kind of like a mystery, and we add elements of comedy to it, and like you could see like this very organic thought process of like, I think he went to film school in Texas, right? So like someone who goes to Texas for film school and sees these American films and brings it back to Hong Kong, and it's like, I think we can kind of do like our own spin on this. And you can see the influence, but it's also like a very natural transposition of that milieu to the world of Hong Kong cinema and like that mythology and stuff like that. So I don't really have anything negative to say about this movie, and I don't think you necessarily need to do like a very deep analysis and breakdown of it. It's just a really crazy, original, extremely well executed, gruesome, gory, macabre, funny, just fucking weird movie. And I like it at its core. Isn't this why a lot of people love Hong Kong cinema? Because it's like unpredictable and it's original and it's bizarre and I mean, generally speaking, this is why we love the work of great artists, right? Like Choi Hawk is the only person who could have made this movie. And that's the best kind of movie when it genuinely comes from one person's like wackiness, or maybe him in collaboration with Zato Choi Kon, who's the screenwriter. Like maybe it's the two of them are the only two people who could have made these movies, but like this movie comes from such a unique place of like vision, voice, and execution, and those are the greatest types of movies ever because they're personal and they're meaningful and they're original art, and it works as really fucking fantastic entertainment, right? It's almost like Tarantino in a way. And I know that people bristle when you mention Tarantino for a lot of different reasons. People really dislike him, but he has a very strong original voice, much like Choi Hawk has a very strong original voice. And Quentin Tarantino is influenced by films from all over the world, a lot of which are like exploitation, grindhouse, like violent, kind of trashy genres, much like the world in which Choi Hark is working on this film. But Tarantino is a very, very, very good filmmaker. He's a very talented writer. He's a very talented director, and he elevates trash to art. And he that kind of middle ground where he sits between like the art house and the grindhouse is what makes him so unique and rare. And I think Choi Hark is doing the exact same thing here. And obviously years and years before Tarantino was, but it's just so like strikingly original, and it's such a successful realization of this insanity that all you could do is just sit back and applaud because it's just great fucking filmmaking. So my name is Will. It's Hong Kong Cinema Appreciation Society. The film is We Are Going to Eat You. I have it in this set here, which I think you probably get for like $5, to be honest with you. These Mill Creek sets are like dirt fucking cheap, especially the DVD ones. It is worth mentioning this is a terrible copy of this movie. Like it is terrible. There are some scenes that are shot at night in low light where like it's just like pixelated blackness and like you can kind of see someone's hand moving, and like it's not a good copy of the film. Like even when they show like the opening titles, like the bottom of the writing is almost like a tiny bit cut off. Like when they did the scan to put onto the DVD, they didn't put it in like the right place. It's like a little tiny like pixel of information is missing along the bottom. There are better releases of this film. I would love a really nice, lavish boutique label Blu-ray of this because there's a lot of really interesting visual stuff in this movie. Like there are certain scenes in particular where I'm like, that's such a Choi Hark camera angle. Or like there's this one scene where the camera's like super up close to these two characters who are talking, and it like kind of they're like at a table, and one is sitting at the top of the table, and one's sitting at the side of the table, and it's like a super wide angle, and the camera kind of like pivots between them, and it creates this really interesting like visual distortion because of the wide lens and the movement of the camera and the proximity of the faces to the lens. And it's like really interesting visual shit that would be really cool to see on like a really nice Blu-ray. But yeah, I mean, it's just such a cool movie. My name is Will. It's Hong Kong Cinema Appreciation Society, and we'll see you next time.